Coming up in this episode of Finding Common Ground.
They really don't like you, Bill. They don't like you.
When you become so loyal to an R or a D, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It's hard not to laugh at the people that lose their mind over Trump. I mean, that's just as entertaining as anything.
There are two sides to every coin.
How do we deal with racial issues when they affect relationships?
Finding common ground on all those issues that we come against.
There's black and there's white.
And I think as Christians, we have to learn how to get together because we're not in heaven.
I've met more interesting people just by God just bringing them in.
Republicans and Democrats.
But a lot of times when it comes to race and it comes to culture and it comes to perception, even as Christians, we don't always understand. We look at it through our lenses.
There's Bill.
I grew up in a suburb of Cleveland called Parma.
Any black people in Parma?
There was not one.
Not one black person,
Not
Bill?
one.
Come on,
Not
Bill.
one.
You got to have one. A
Nope.
token black person? A token?
And there's Odell.
I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, public housing, single mom, divorced single mom of 4 kids. And I came up through segregation and all that kind of stuff.
If a black person drove through the town, the police would stop and escort them out.
Bill and Odell are finding common ground.
A part of what we have to do is listen to each other, find the common ground, and question, not questioning you like you're on a witness stand, but questioning you for better understanding. Father God, we just say thank you for your grace and mercy. Thank you for all the blessings. And it's just nice as we continue to seek common ground that many people come to us and say, you know, I agree with this part of what you're saying. However, I disagree with that part of what you're saying. So it really just comes to the point of saying, this is what we were after, conversation. Let's talk about what we don't like. Let's talk about what we do like. But above all, God, we're talking. So we thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' precious name, we pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for today, the cold weather that we've got. And Lord, we lift up our country as we go through primaries. We lift up Ukraine as they defend their country, and Israel is the same. Lord, we ask for blessings on this podcast as we talk to our good friend Kelly Hahn. Amen.
Okay. Bill and Kelly, guess what?
What?
Over-the-counter birth control pills are coming to North Carolina without age restriction.
Are you going to get some?
Now, we are 3 men.
What kind are you going to get? What kind are you going to get?
That's too easy. A 63-year-old man, I don't dabble in birth control at this point in my life. But let me tell you, for the people who do, and for the listening audience, you have 3 men daring to talk about birth control pills. So listen carefully, because I know you all just shaking your head as right now. But the article says this. July of last year, the Food and Drug Administration announced that Opill, O-P-I-L-L, excuse me if I mispronounce it, but again, birth control pills are not my expertise. I said that first and foremost. Also known as the mini pill, will be sold to any females of reproductive age. That's not a 64-year-old good-looking black guy. Pharmacists, grocery stores, and even convenience stores will stock the product, and it will be available for purchase online.
Are you sure this is birth control?
Odell is the opposite of birth control. I mean, he's so good looking. He
causes the problem.
He got it.
Now, see, y'all gonna get me. Y'all gonna get the Baptist preacher in trouble. But you know what? I'm not gonna bite. So, Bill and Kelly.
Wait a minute. When I was doing my missions trip, you were in Vegas, baby.
I was in Vegas, baby. Has nothing to do with over-the-counter birth control pills for folks of reproductive age. So I'm going to leave that alone. But tell us, Kelly, how do you feel about this over-the-counter birth control pills? You could buy it in the convenience store. You could buy it online. You could buy it on the corner. You could buy it in the liquor store. What's going on, man?
I 100% support it. I think make it accessible and get out of women's lives and let the parents and the kids and all of the people that are involved in these kinds of decisions deal with it on their own, but don't let the government or the city or the legislators decide for the people.
Goebel?
I think the legislature should take birth control pills.
Phil, that's too easy. Come on, Goebel. Give me something. The mini pill. The mini pill.
I tell you what, the Boy Scouts have a world jamboree every 4 years, and we get about 140, 150 countries coming, and we get about 40,000 kids and about 10 or 15,000 adults. And with the world jamboree, we have a United States jamboree, but a world jamboree has some elements that we don't have here when we do ours. One of them is usually there's a pub someplace on the site. So in the evening,
a pub like a bar?
A bar.
Okay,
there's a
gotcha.
bar.
Okay, gotcha.
They serve, whiskey. If you do it in Ireland, there's going to be beer and whiskey. If you do it in Japan, there's going to be sake. So when we did ours here, they said, well, we need to have a pub. In Boy Scouts here, we don't allow that. So then we got through that. We worked that out. And then the next thing they said is, we're going to hand out birth control to the young men and women that come here. And
whoa. Wait a minute, Chief. The Boy Scouts of America.
Of the world.
The Boy Scouts of the world.
World Scouting.
World Scouting. And where was this event gathering held?
This one was in Beckley, West Virginia.
In Beckley, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Not the end of the world, but you can see it from there.
That was said by Kelly. So for the listening audience in West Virginia, that's the good-looking white guy, not the good-looking black guy. So just want to make sure you get your eye candy, straight, because you got chocolate eye candy, and then you have vanilla ice candy and Bill's a candy apple. So we okay then. We're just going to keep going with that. So Bill, go back with your story, because you said the World Jamboree of Boy Scouters were bringing in a bar and birth control for all.
Yep. It sounds like the start of a bad joke, doesn't it?
I just need to be quiet and listen.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the obvious thing to ask would be, is it for the leaders that might try and take advantage of the boys?
Oh, no, he did. No.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Oh, Kelly. Oh, my God.
You didn't know what you were getting yourself into when you invited me back.
He's the guest.
Odell, you got to help me here, buddy.
Okay, listen.
You started it.
No. But all things being fair, I do think it's a wonderful organization. Sometimes I just can't help myself.
Sometimes the mouth kicks in before the rest of the brain does.
Yes, I've been told that.
Hey, guess what I got to do tomorrow?
What do you have to do tomorrow?
I got to go to deposition.
A what?
Deposition in Superior Court. I'm a defendant to Guilford County. Their documents, let's see, the case is against all the school board members brought by the Republican school board members that we had secret meetings and broke the law that says for open meetings, you got to have open meetings. You can't have secret meetings. Like, for example, let me give you an example.
Yeah, please.
When I got on the school board, I didn't know everybody. I didn't even know their names very well. And I thought, well, in scouting, when you don't know somebody, what you do is you break bread.
Okay.
And so when I was board chair here for the Scouts, I had a Low Country Boil here for about 60 people. And we got to know each other and hung out. So I thought, well, let's do that with the wives and the significant others, the husbands of the school board members. So I went
all the school board members, Republicans,
yep,
Democrats,
yep,
and independents and unaffiliated.
Yep. I was going to invite them all. So I went to do it, and the lawyer for the school board said, you can't do that. And I said, why can't I do that? Because that's considered a quorum and you have to make it a public meeting.
Okay, wait a minute.
Even if it's social.
Okay, so were you on the school board then, or were you?
I was on the school board when I wanted to do that.
Okay, so you're getting sued.
Yep.
They're suing you individually? Or
yes, I'm part of it. But see, here's the interesting thing. They're suing me for having a secret meeting as a board member. I wasn't a board member when that happened, supposedly.
Even if they did, what's the liability for you on that? I mean, they can't sue you financially. They just want a judgment, so it makes you look bad.
Yeah.
So when you run, then they have something against you.
Gotcha. You get it.
Well, wait a minute.
What a waste of money and taxpayer dollars.
Well, here's the thing. They're taking about $80,000 from the school board because they got to hire a lawyer to do this, represent all the school board members that we could be using to pay teachers and workers.
Well, I assume that when you became a board member that you signed and they gave you insurance to protect you personally.
Yes.
So you have a lawyer representing you. So
right.
Okay.
But still, the school board has to write the check to the lawyer.
Well, wait a minute. Wait, help me understand. Help, because see, this don't make sense to me. So, as I understand it, Mr. Goebel, sir, you are getting sued by the Republican school board members or the Republican Party.
School board members.
Oh, okay. You're getting sued by the Republican school board members for having a secret meeting as a school board member when you weren't on the school board.
Right.
Now, see, that's the stuff that used to happen to black folk. No. We don't even have to be around. And someone said the black guy did it. And it's like, okay, let's go find the black guy who did it. So, Bill, they treating you like a black guy, man. What's going on, Bill? So you getting sued for a meeting that you weren't even the school board part of. And
there was never a meeting.
And so did they drop the suit against you? Or, well, I mean, sooner or later, somebody got to say, guys, he wasn't a part of the school board.
Well, we filed a motion to do that, and they fought it. And then we were getting ready to go to trial over it. And at the last minute, they acquiesced and said, yeah, we agree. He wasn't part of the suit. So they dropped my name off. But I have to still give a deposition because they think I was part of the secret meetings that never happened. There's never any secret meetings.
But you weren't on the school board.
I know.
Just get used to saying, I have no recollection of that.
Yeah.
No. So you have to.
I have no recollection of that either.
What is the meaning of is?
So, Kelly, so you're going to have to go, Bill, and put your hand on the Bible.
Kelly's going to come as my representative, legal representative.
Right. You don't want the good looking black guy in a courtroom because there's something about the courtrooms. Sometime when black folks,
Lincoln lawyer,
when black folks show up, the rules change, man. So you want to go in there as the good-looking white guy, Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, all that kind of good stuff, but don't talk about the bar and the birth controls and all that because the Republican Party, not all, but some are kind of funny on this whole birth control, abortion thing, all that kind of stuff. So all of a sudden, when you look at it, and we talk about birth control and out of women's lives and abortion and who's taking care of children. Help me on that, Kelly.
Well, I think it's a losing issue as a political issue. I just do. I think that it doesn't belong in politics. It belongs in a home. It belongs with parents. It belongs, as an individual decision. I think this is a losing issue for the Republicans. I think that they're still, if you look at the election cycle since they went after Roe v. Wade, I think they're getting pummeled in elections. I mean, well,
everybody's leaving the Republican Party. They're going unaffiliated.
They're going unaffiliated. I'm a proud member of the unaffiliated. Put me in that category.
My district, I just got the numbers for this year. There's like 53,293 registered voters in my district. 38% are unaffiliated.
But it's a losing issue. Why? I don't understand why. I wish I could remember it, how she said it, but I think I saw Nikki Haley during one of the Republican debates, and she had just a very classic, very neutral answer, but it defined her so well, which is that more or less, it's not a political issue. It's a personal issue. It's between mother and daughter or daughter and parent. And so solve it there. We don't need legislation to solve this issue. I think it's a losing issue. It's going to continue to be a losing issue for the Republican Party.
So what you're telling me is that Nikki Haley got one answer to a question, right?
Well, yeah, they didn't ask her about the Civil War then.
How about so that was the question before the slavery and Civil War question, or before the racist question. This was the question that Nikki was comfortable answering.
All right.
So now,
she thought the default answer on that was states' rights.
Okay. So
if you're using states' rights as the argument for slavery, then that's a losing issue too.
Nikki, don't you understand? You're from South Carolina. You understand South Carolina. We're both South Carolinians. So Are you going to be Nikki's lawyer or are you going to be Bill's lawyer in his deposition? Who are you going to defend, my friend?
Well, I got to go get that JD first. So,
well, you can represent yourself.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but
No.
that's not.
I might say something I might regret.
You think?
So, Bill, so you're going to go in there and put your hand on the Bible.
Yes, sir.
And you have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
More or less.
Okay. Now, Bill, don't you say anything on this podcast that will you might regret either.
Self-incriminating.
Yeah.
I know nothing. Who's that? Who's that guy?
Sergeant Schultz on Hogan
yeah,
Hero.
I know nothing.
I know nothing. I know nothing. I know nothing. It's interesting how all that kind of stuff works. So it's like, man, we got schools with roofs that's leaking. We have schools that we haven't repaired from the tornado damage X amount of years ago.
Amen.
We have all these things going on. So speaking of the school board, so they say, oh, we sued you for having a secret meeting, but you weren't on the school board at that time. My bad. So we dropped your name from that suit. But now we're going to bring you in for a deposition.
Oh, it even goes worse than that.
Tell us how it goes worse. How can it be worse than that, Gobo?
Well, when they first filed the lawsuit, they didn't have the money for a lawyer, so they represented themselves. And they put a motion in to have like an emergency hearing. So our lawyer went in and looked at their documentation that they filed. And, the part of the deal is there's a legal system and you follow it. You do all different things. You have to present evidence. You have to get witnesses. You have to do depositions. There's a process. Well, if you're not a lawyer, you just file the papers and you say, here's all the facts. And that's what they did. They had about 40 pages. So these are all the facts. And here's what they did. Now, let's hear our arguments and judge, make a ruling. It doesn't work that way. So our lawyer went in when the representative, I wasn't there, but Midori went, and the other side was just stood up and tried to talk about what they did.
Wow.
So the first thing the judge said is, you need to get a lawyer. This is highly legal, technical stuff. I recommend you get a lawyer. He must have said it a dozen times. And the lady that was one of the school board members was the talker. And she says, Your Honor, there's all the facts. We should be able to make a decision off of that. And he goes, no, that's not how it works. We were going to have the case dismissed. And so we put a motion in, and the judge says, no, they get their day in court. If they get a lawyer, we're going to give them a day in court. So they went and got a lawyer. It was $15,000 for a lawyer.
But he could have made a judgment on that day.
He could have, if he wanted to, he could have shut it down. But he gave them the chance to defend themselves. And
hold on, you're the defendant.
Yeah.
They're the plaintiff.
Yeah. Give them a chance. They're dating.
Isn't that reverse?
Well, it depends on what side you're at. I agree.
Kelly, you're making sense over here, man. You're making sense over here. But go.
Well, here's the thing. It's all about the school board members, right? Well, one of the plaintiffs was not a school board member. It was Michael Logan, and he wasn't even on the school board. He's a retired teacher, but he wanted my seat. So they put his name on it, and the judge goes, why is Logan on here? He's just a citizen. He has nothing to do with public office. So he stood up and he says, Your Honor, that I was the one that was wronged, and that's why I'm there. And I guess the judge goes, whatever. And
Lord.
So then they couldn't raise the money. So they started sending out emails about me.
Is this true, Bill?
Yeah.
All this is true. Your hands on the Bible,
Yep.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So they sent out emails to all these people, and some of the people that were getting emails were friends of mine. So they're sending me, so what's this about? So I would call.
They really don't like you.
They really don't like you, Bill. They don't like you. They may even hate you, Mr. Goebel.
That's amazing. I've never been hated so much in my life.
You are a Republican, right? You are a white male, 70-something years old Republican. You're a Republican, and these are Republicans who's doing this to you.
Yeah, eating their own folks.
Well, we've already determined that they're not very bright at
So anyhow,
picking their issues.
So they get a lawyer, and the lawyer modifies it to make it legally right. And that's when the judge said, okay, we're going to give them their chance. And so now we're into deposition mode. And once they depose everybody, then we may go to trial. They may drop the case, but we're not dropping it. We're going to make them. They want to go forward, prove their case. If they want to drop it, it's up to them. But so the
now, when you say we,
well, the people, the school board members.
Okay, so the school board. Okay, boy, this thing get complicated. But I'm gonna do my Jeffro Bodine ... So you were first part of a lawsuit. You're no longer part of the suit because it came out you weren't on the school board at the time. So now they dropped the lawsuit, drop you out of the lawsuit, but the lawsuit's going. But they want you to testify now, and now it's against the Democrats on the school board and the Republicans on the school board. And in the meantime, everything going on with our school and our students and everything else, yada, yada, yada.
Yep. That's
okay.
It. And the case number, in case somebody wants to look it up, is 23 CVS 5241. CVS 5241.
We could get Judge Wapner to solve this in like 5 minutes.
You know something I didn't even think about.
The People's Court.
Yeah, People's Court.
You know what? Tell me about the People's Court.
Dun, 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 dun.
So Kelly, here coming there, Judge Judy, these folks will deal with this and move on.
Judge Judy, she would be like, this is a waste of my time, your time, everybody's time. Case dismissed. Next case.
She would.
So
I mean, it would just be that cut and dry.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. One more thing I got to add. They went to get a judge to handle this, and they couldn't find a judge that didn't have a conflict of interest because he knew a lot of the people that were being sued. And so they had to find a guy down in Asheboro area who happened to be in the courtroom, and he got the case, and he looked at his bailiff and he said, or clerk, and he says, can't they find a local judge to handle this? And he goes, we tried, Your Honor. No one else can do it because of conflict of interest.
All right. Help me understand. What's the size of the school board's budget, Mr. Goebel? How many students are we representing, Mr. Goebel?
The school board budget is about $1 billion, and there's about 70,000 kids.
This reminds me of the big argument that we're having local about leaf collection in a crazy way, majoring in the minors. And I understand the leaf collections. I get all that.
Explain what that is, because some of the people.
Yeah, but I got one quick question.
Yeah.
I thought the lottery was supposed to solve all the budget shortfalls.
Yeah, it was. But here's what happened.
Help me understand that.
This is not a budget shortfall. This is folks mad at each other.
No, I get that. But I mean, when we're talking about schools and broken windows and roofs, leaky roofs.
But we're not talking about that. You're right. We're not arguing. No one's getting sued for roofs and broken windows. Folks getting sued because they don't like each other, or you had secret meetings and stuff like that. We're not even talking about what's taught in the classrooms anymore. We're not talking about what's that thing we used to talk about? What's the thing?
Critical race theory.
Yeah, we're not even talking about critical race theory anymore in Guilford County. We're talking about we're going to sue Goebel. Oh, we're not going to sue Goebel. We're going to drop him off. We're going to sue everybody else. You are not going to drop it. We're not going to drop it. And it's almost like going through a divorce. I never went through a divorce. So I'm not trying to act like minimize people who are going through divorce. However, I've counseled people going through divorce. And sometimes the biggest argument over who gets the salt shaker. You know what I mean? Who gets the salt shaker? Because it's like, I'm not giving an inch on anything. By God, I don't care if the salt shaker's worth $1. I'm going to pay attorneys, and before it's over, that added value is going to be $20, and we're going to just fight over it because we're mad. I'm mad at you, Goebel. I'm mad at you, GOP. Y'all are mad at each other, Bill. You all are mad at each other, man.
I'm not mad at anybody.
Well, it's just helping serve your point. I mean, basically, you're saying we waste our time doing nothing, which seems to be what's happening.
I know. Spending money with lawyers.
So as we move on, is there going to be an election, and who's running against who? What's going on in District 3? What's going on? Give me an update, sir.
Sure. District 3, there's a Republican that's running unopposed. There's a Democrat running unopposed. And then I'm unaffiliated, which means I have to do a lot of work to get on the ballot.
Wait a minute. I thought you were a Republican.
No, I'm being unaffiliated.
So you got kicked out of did you get kicked out, ran out, thrown out, tripped out? What happened?
Yes to all of those. Everyone.
Sued out.
Well, they censored me. They sued me. They charged me with party disloyalty. They had the state legislature change the law 2 times because the first time they goofed up, and so they wanted a redo.
I like the word goof. I like that, Goble. I'm proud of you. Goofed.
They goofed up. And so, and they've got to make a bad guy out of somebody. So they figured, let's go after the Boy Scout. And and that's what they're doing. And so, when I meet people, they tell me, I don't want to vote for you. I've heard all about it. And I said, well, tell me what you heard. And this happened. This is a true story. I was collecting signatures at a vote polling place, and a lady came out and said, would you sign my certificate so I could get on the ballot? That's all, just to get on the ballot. She says, absolutely no way. I know about you. And I've read about you. And I said, well, can we talk about it? She says, well, I'm not sure there's anything to say.
Wow.
I said, well, just what did you hear? And she said, I heard that you had backroom maneuvers and you maneuvered this whole thing and to get on the board. And I said, who told you that? And she says, the Republican Party. And I said, really? Well, can I give you my side of the story? And when I got done, I said, I was sitting with the GOP, head of the GOP, for lunch on January 23rd, or coffee. And I said, tell me what's going on with the Republican Party. He says, well, we got this problem getting this guy on the school board, but John Hardister's going to fix it. He's going to change the law to clarify it. And John wants 3 names to submit to the school board. And we've got 2. We just need 1 more. And I said, well, I'll volunteer to help out.
So you volunteered to get in this kind of trouble?
Yeah, I did. Holy cow. This cost me more money.
Kelly, what do you think about this, Kelly? Kelly, because the way you said, Kelly, please just share with us what is behind that smirk on your face right now.
I mean, it's comedy. It's really at its best, it's comedy. I mean, first of all, when you go to vote, you're presented with governor and congressman and all that. I don't even know who the school board people are. So I'm taking a wild guess to begin with. Right. And so I would have never even paid attention to this until our good friend Bill Goble was involved in it. And I'll never forget, I was driving somewhere and I got a phone call from you and I had a car full of people and you're like, let me tell you a funny story. And that's when you started telling me the story of, how you went from a golden child revered in the Republican Party to an outcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they chased you out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
They're treating you like a black guy. Go.
Oh my God.
Now, speaking of chases and races,
that means I can't go back to Parma.
Oh, that's good. That's good. But speaking of chases and races, District 6 in the state of North Carolina, for our audience who don't know District 6, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a bare knuckle fight. You have Congressman Mark Walker running against our U.S. Marine, Mr. Goble. What's the name again?
Castellini.
And I think the local GOP is saying that Congressman Walker, it's not your turn. We're not going to support you. Or maybe they are. I don't know. What's the latest? Do you still know what's going on in the Republican Party, Bill? Because I'm a Democrat acting like I know what's going on.
Well, I know a little about this race. There's a guy out of Charlotte. I think his name is Hall or Hill or something like that. And when you run for Congress, you don't have to live in the district.
So someone could represent me who lives hundreds of miles away.
Yeah. And so
what a mess.
The guy in Charlotte, because this has been redistricted for a Republican. So whoever wins the Republican primary is going to win the election.
So a Democrat's not even running. So Congresswoman Kathy Manning said, listen, I'm not even playing with you all.
Yep.
Okay.
And so he's running and he's got a lot of money, got lots of money behind him. His dad is pretty wealthy. And then.
So is Congress for sale?
Well, it depends how much money you got.
So is Congress for sale? Yeah. Is democracy for sale?
You're just now coming to this conclusion.
I'm a poor black boy from the dirt roads of South Carolina, man. I didn't know. Listen, I'm still stuck on Thurgood Marshall.
Have you ever seen
Clarence
a poor
Thomas.
politician? That's the better question. I mean,
they may have come in poor. They ain't going out poor.
Boy, y'all are hot today. Boy, y'all are coming in hot today.
So people think I'm going to go on the school board and get rich.
Go back to District 6, but to your point is, you're absolutely right, Kelly. A lot of politicians are very wealthy. They come from wealthy families and everything else. So you're absolutely right.
Well, one of two things happens. They come in already rich and they buy the slot, or they get elected and then they use that to benefit themselves. I mean, it's really quite cut and dry.
Some may disagree, but you say, Odell, you just figured that out.
I'm more than willing to sit and look at the exception.
Okay.
Bring them.
All right. I'm going to hold my good friend, Congressman Mark Walker, up as an exception. I think when he first got elected, he was the poorest out of everybody in the House.
You hear the story. What happened is his chief of staff comes in and he goes, "Hey, boss, I got something to tell you." He goes, "Is it good news or bad news?" He goes, "It depends how you look at it." He says, "But it could be bad news." And he goes, "Okay, what is it?" He says, "They just ranked the House members by their value, their net worth. And you're dead last."
Is Congressman Mark Walker a poor boy from the dirt roads of Alabama or something like that?
Not that poor.
Okay, all right. But it's interesting. Walker is in a fight that he can't afford to lose, because when he got redistricted the first time and Congresswoman Kathy Manning ran, she won. Then Congressman Mark Walker ran for Senate and he didn't win that race. So he lost there. Now he was running for governor, and when it got redistricted, he dropped out of the governor's race and came to the congressional race now. So he cannot afford to lose this. And the other gentleman, is it Castellino, Bill? Am I saying?
Castellini.
Excuse me, sir. Castellino. Mm-hmm. He got beat the last time running against Congresswoman Kathy Manning. So both of these gentlemen has lost their last election, and they know if they win this, they're going to Washington. How nasty and dirty do you think it's going to get, Bill? Or
so basically what you're saying is the first loser gets the job.
He hit the nail on the head. He hit the nail.
And I don't mean that on a personal level. I mean, they both lost their general elections twice. So a loser is actually a lucky loser.
Yep. Well, the interesting thing about it is that one thing I've seen, Walker has gotten very aggressive dealing with the southern border, talking about the southern border coming to Greensboro as far as the Hebrew Academy and asking questions, what's going on? And that kind of is like, oh, wow, they're out the gates already. So what do you think about that? I mean, you're not a Democrat or a Republican. What do you think about the sharp elbows of these two gentlemen? And I think there's another Bo Hines is in there too.
Yeah.
So everybody's in there fighting for this. And former President Trump endorsed the young man you talked about, Bill, out of Charlotte. So it's so much going on. So what's the MAGA crowd going to do?
I mean, their position is very clear. I mean, they don't want them. Go back to where you came from. And I guess Greensboro they've never really, have they ever come out and said this is exactly what this facility is doing? I mean, it's been kind of a little bit quiet, or they're doing what they're doing, but I don't think there's ever been a public announcement or they've ever made exactly what that facility is doing clear.
I don't know, but I remember about X amount of months ago, I received phone calls from individuals who live in that area. These are wealthy individuals, and they were complaining to me like, Odell, run something. Hey, you need to say something about this, Odell, and da, 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 da. And it's like they were very concerned. And these were very wealthy Democrats who were very concerned about people moving into their community and what it may or may not do for tax values, home values, and everything else.
Is it a temporary solution or is it a long-term solution?
Temporary. They're only there for maybe 6 weeks. They're young people that come over unaccompanied. And they need a place to put them.
Explain young. What is young? What's the age group? Because sometimes 24 is young.
Teenagers down, 18 down to probably 10.
And Walker kept saying, Kelly, to your point, Congressman Walker kept saying, well, who's making the money? Who's making the money? That's his big argument. Follow the money. Follow the money. So this is going to get nasty, man. This is going to get nasty. This is going to be sharp elbows because both of these, well, really all four of the people who are running, is there any black people running in District 6, Bill?
No, they wouldn't do that.
Okay. So black folk wouldn't run as Republican in District 6. No?
Correct. No.
Okay. So no black people, no black people running in District 6.
Give it a go.
No.
You've never lost the general election.
Yeah.
The other two are losers. You can be the winner.
Just don't have any secret meetings because, boy, you be.
Oh, man. You know what? I'm not even going to touch that. But this is going to get nasty in my mind. What's going to go with the local GOP, Bill? They're going to have to support somebody. The local GOP, the one who sued you, censored you, kicked you out, threw you under the bus. This group is going to, which way are they leaning?
I think they're leaning toward Castellini, but I think that's where they were going.
Was Walker a big Trump supporter?
No, he got screwed over by Trump.
Okay. So he doesn't have the mega crowd?
No, when he was going to run for Senate, he wanted to run against Tillis. And the Trump and the guy who's the senator, Speaker of the Senate, McConnell, and somebody else, maybe the chief of staff, called Trump into the White House and said, look, we don't want you running against Tillis, but Phil
Berger?
No, Barr, the current senator that retired.
Okay.
Burr.
Okay.
Senator Burr. He said he's going to retire when he runs. We'll support you. So he figured, okay, I'll wait my turn. And
so Trump made him a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Trump told him what he would do, and Trump changed his mind?
Well, yeah, I think somebody changed Trump's mind because when there was the GOP convention probably 2 years ago, Mark was there with his family sitting up in the front table, and Trump shows up to speak, and he says, he calls up Ted Budd, who was running for Senate also. And he said, this is Ted Budd. He's got my support.
Oh,
in front of Mark's family.
So Mark didn't get a heads up or anything that, hey, man, we getting ready to.
And Ted Budd didn't know until that time.
And he didn't even get sued like you.
Yeah, I know. There's a secret meeting going on there. You think? Holy moly.
Wasn't Mark Meadows behind the scene for all that kind of good stuff?
Yep, he was.
The same Mark Meadows who's in court now?
Yep.
That was a secret meeting, Bill. But I think they discussed that ahead of time.
You think they might have had a discussion or just was spontaneous?
And President
with Trump, you never know.
Yeah. On his way to the bathroom, he said, I'm going for Bud.
You know what? Kelly, help me.
It's easier to spell.
Help me. Exactly. Help me with some things right now. Because when you see the MAGA voter or the Trump haters or all that, help me understand what's that all about. And not that you know people like that, but you know a lot of people. How do you deal with that? Because you're not for or against. So do they attack you or they understand you or you just don't say anything?
Well, for the record, I'm not for Trump. And in fact, I wish that this coming election is just, it's another 4 years wasted, in my opinion. I mean,
tell us how you really feel, my friend.
Biden versus Trump 2.0, everybody loses. And so, but that being said, I mean, it's hard not to laugh at the people that lose their mind over Trump. I mean, that's just as entertaining as anything. I mean, when you see it, I don't care if you're reading about it or if you're arguing amongst friends. If you're reading about it, you go straight to the comments because the Trump delusional syndrome kicks in hardcore there. And then when people are arguing, I mean, it's ruined relationships. It's ruined friendships.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there are families divided because of Trump. And
yeah.
So
right.
My answer is that right now we're in a cycle where, in my opinion, we all lose because 4 more years of Joe Biden versus 4 years of Trump and everything that comes with that. I just can't imagine what the landscape looks like post-election either way. And neither one are backing down and both will be the nominees. I don't think that they can stop either one of them. They can stop Trump in the courts, but if they do that, then Trump has an even better argument about what is democracy and what does democracy really look like. And with Biden, I mean, he's punch drunk with power, but that's how he's been from the beginning since he became a politician. I mean, this is a guy that basically was never successful at anything in life. He was an average politician at best, and he became president. And now he's got his average ideas running our country. some people would argue that there's people behind the scenes running the country.
Right. Somebody's doing it. Somebody's doing it. Yeah.
You get the drift. I wish that there was a button that we could push and it would magically create 2 new candidates. Like when you're filling out paperwork and they send you the secret code and you're like, I can't read this one, punch it for another one. I wish we could punch that button. That button for 2 fresh candidates. And I don't care. I don't care if they're coming from the extreme right perspective or the extreme left perspective, just 2 fresh candidates.
Well, let me ask you a question. As we turn toward close, we probably won't get 2 fresh candidates, but can you put on a cap for me that if you were advising former President Trump, what would you tell him to do? If you were advising President Biden, what would you tell him to do?
The problem with Trump is he acts like a spoiled rich kid. You know, his whole life he was never told no. And when he doesn't get his way, then he just turns volatile and acts unpresidential. And with Biden, you just never know what's going to come out of his mouth. I mean, some of the things he said in the past that they didn't come back to haunt him throughout all the election cycles is mind-boggling to me. So, I mean, both candidates, they have clear issues. But if I was advising Trump, if there was such a thing as giving him advice, and if he was even such that would take advice, which I doubt, because I'm sure there's been very smart people who have said, listen, if you can just learn to control yourself, if you can just learn to talk in complete sentences, don't sound like Barnum and Bailey pitching the circus coming to town. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think every issue that Trump had during his 4 years, I don't think he got everything wrong. I mean, there's people that will say, I can't look at one accomplishment by Trump. But,
no, you're right.
Yeah,
and fair. You're right. You're right.
And so he got a few things right. And I think that clearly he's capable, but I just don't think he can ever get rid of the rich boy mentality, the spoiled, I've gotten what I want. You're going to do what I want. You're going to do as I say, almost like a dictator.
Biden, sir?
Biden, that's a tricky one all in and of itself, because I mean, he's molded himself. He kind of molded himself as a moderate through the first, 75% of his political career. He was very, very moderate. And then all of a sudden, like, he just took a hard turn left when he became president. And I don't know if that was him or if that was his advisors or if the people that are behind him, but clearly how he governed in the first, 30 years of his political existence and how he governs now, there are 2 far different places. I mean, you can even see just on some of the issues that he's flip-flopped on over the years.
Bill, what advice would you give President Trump, former President Trump, or President Biden, sir?
Drop out. Now.
Please.
Please hit the redo button.
For both of them?
Yeah, they both need to be gone. And I agree with Kelly. We need some fresh blood. And these parties become put blinders on. And they just see one thing. And so they need to step out of that and find common ground, quite frankly, with other people. When you become so loyal to an R or a D, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think there's a begging for, that's why there's so many unaffiliated now.
Okay.
Nobody wants either party.
Well, the good looking, slim and trim, Black Democrat here, that would be me, of course. What advice would I give President Trump? What advice would I give, former President Trump? And what advice would I give President Biden? I think it's a thing called let's compete as political competitors, not political enemies, because we all are Americans. One of the things that I was taught as a young kid is that you go out and play. I played sports. Being poor, sports was my way out. Out of the ghettos, out of the dirt roads, just playing sports. So you go and you compete hard. But after you compete, you go and shake your opponent's hands. And that was the thing we used to do, because if you didn't do it, they call it bad sportsmanship.
And showing respect.
Exactly. So all of a sudden now, white folks done got crazy, Bill. What's going on with white folks, man? Y'all done got crazy when it comes to politics now. It's like y'all ain't shaking nobody's hand. Y'all calling people out of their name. Y'all calling folk a little bit of everything. And I'm sitting there saying, Republicans, what are you all doing? Y'all tripping, pimping?
What we need is a little more Bill Clinton. I'm telling, just hear me out on this.
Because Bill has some issues, right?
Of course.
I thought you were going to say what we need is Barack Obama. We need the brother. Black is back, baby. Black is back.
Well, didn't they say that Bill Clinton was actually our first black president?
We lied to Bill. Huh? You're absolutely right. Black folk, and I'm black folk, we told Bill Clinton when he was on our Arsenio Hall show playing the saxophone that he's cool white boy and he's the first black president. And that did for us because we had no other choice. That was the closest thing we had to black. Then President Obama came.
But he had a soul.
But President Obama came and he was black enough. And I'll leave it there. He was black enough for us.
But was he born in America?
Oh, no, that's Trump. That's Trump. Is Hawaii part of the United States of America? Because Trump, that birtherism, but that's when it started.
But here's the difference.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, Bill Clinton had to deal with all kinds of civil discord amongst the parties, but
Monica Lewinsky? Is that civil discourse?
Well, you could say that.
But speaking of birth control.
Oh, come on, Bill. Come on, man.
But just hear me out for 1 second, because things happened, right? So it's like old school politics. You're going to get nominated from your base, but you're going to get elected by more than your base. You're going to need a few of the other side. Okay. And so Bill Clinton, he could do that. He was a deal maker. He could broker deals. And so you had the Bob Dole and who's the Georgia guy,
who was president?
No, he was the Speaker of the House. Newt Gingrich. So you had Bob Dole and Newt Gingrich just cutting his legs out. But when they were in back rooms, they were making deals. They were cutting deals.
They were drinking bourbon.
They were drinking bourbon together.
And smoking cigars.
And I guarantee you, Bill Clinton was like, listen, when you're talking to your people, your team, you're going to say everything bad about me. And conversely, I'm going to be saying everything bad about you guys. But when we're in the deal making business, let's get down to the business of making deals. And things got done. And all that went away. All that went away. I mean, it went away real quick with George Bush because everybody was he properly elected? There was the fight with the hanging chads. And so I think he was the first, this is not my president was George Bush, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It started with that.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of when things went downhill.
Not for me. Let me tell you what went downhill for me.
Okay.
Politics got me. I was a rookie. I thought we were playing checkers and they were playing chess. So when Thurgood Marshall, Brown versus the Board of Education, they traded me a Thurgood Marshall for Clarence Thomas. And I thought it was an even trade, Bill. I didn't know any better. But boy, do I know better now. Thurgood Marshall for Clarence Thomas. That's when it started for me. Ain't no fair. Ain't no crying in baseball. They got me on that one now.
But was it how he ruled? Once he became a justice, was it how he ruled, or was it when he was going through what's the process where all the senators
nominated
the nomination process? But he has to be, they have to
vote for
him. Yep. Because I remember I remember as a kid, that was national news. They stopped everything to zoom in on what was going on and the questions that with Anita Hill, right? It was Anita Hill. Anita Hill. And so did your disgust with him start with the whole Anita Hill thing, or was it some of the rulings that he made or what he was a part of? No,
it wasn't Anita Hill. It was as a young Black person who understood that the Supreme Court of the United States is the highest court in the land. And the fact that Black people never served on it until Thurgood Marshall served on it. So to replace Thurgood Marshall, we said we had a voice. Here's a person, Brown versus Board of Education. And we went from that to another Black person that, in my opinion, wasn't a voice for me. A Black person, wasn't a voice for me.
Seen as being conservative?
Because of what he spoke, what he did. And even now, when you look at the history and the track record, and then I got hopeful saying, well, after a while, he'll chill out. And then he'll look and say, let me give him a bone. He ain't giving me a bone nor a bristle.
Yeah. Well, I think, it was kind of sad. And I guess, I don't know if they were picking on him, but he's been made an example of about taking what some supporter has been paying his kids tuition at private school and sending them on vacations. I mean, that's disappointing. I don't care who it is. And I'm sure he's not the only one. But I mean, did they single him out because he was black? Did they?
I think they singled him out. He was black. I don't think it was a single out that he was black. But what I am pleased is the fact that we got the first black female on the court, and it's just nice because black women has been through a lot in America, from being enslaved and they're taking their babies out of their arms, selling the babies, the breeding farms in Virginia in slavery. It's just been a lot. So to have a black female on the Supreme Court of the United States of America is a big deal to me. And it's not all just about race for me, because I know I have my critics who say, "Oh, you always talking about race." No, I talk about race. I talk about politics. I talk about religion. I talk about all the things that people say you shouldn't talk about. So, Bill, I'm going to quit talking. Kelly, y'all take me home.
Can I just say one thing on that?
Yes.
I completely agree with you. I think that the greatest thing in the world is for somebody who has grown up or felt marginalized to look and see a female black woman on the Supreme Court. I think that's amazing. And so, I mean, and it is a sign of progress. And you don't have to agree with how she rules. You don't have to have any understanding of how she may rule. But just to think that from that period, from the 60s, the civil rights movement up to 2024, there has been progress. And I think that that's something that anybody can hang their hat on, because you can legitimately say, I can be her. And I think that's a really neat thing. But I think the same thing for Clarence Thomas. I mean, I think that for a young black boy at that time, he could say, I can sit on the Supreme Court. Someday, if I go to law school, I become a really good lawyer and I put myself in the right position and I make the right friends, because let's not kid ourselves, that I too can have a shot at that seat. And so I guess that's really true equality, right? Everybody has the opportunity, equality of opportunity, I guess that falls under. And so all of a sudden now you have that, Bill.
Well, I think Kelly's onto something. I think one of the things that he stuck out was, if I make the right friends. And I think connections matter, because as he was talking about Bill Clinton and the rest of the folks, how they would, bark at each other during the day, but then sit down and say, let's get something done. You can't do that unless you have a relationship with somebody in connection. And if you can't trust them, how do you get things done? And, I'm going to go back to the school board. So much animosity with the Republicans and Democrats because of that animosity.
The local Republicans and Democrats, but I don't even know if the Democrats, and I'm not cutting you off, but I am. It's like that's a GOP fight. Democrats didn't have anything to do with y'all fighting each other.
Well, one of the things that I think will come out in this deposition, because they're deposing the people that brought the case.
Wow. So y'all taking everybody going to jail. Not to jail. Everybody going to court and putting their hand on the Bible.
But I don't think they're trying to turn it into a civil war. I just think that they're trying to make you just go away. And then it looks as though there's no war to begin with.
Yeah. Why don't you just go away, Goebel? Why won't you quit? Why won't you quit? Why won't you do what they want you to do? You're the problem, Goebel. I think you're the problem.
Mama didn't raise no quitter.
Yes, Kelly's right. That's not the first time I heard that I was a problem. When you have 8 kids in your family and 66 first cousins, there's a lot of things you get blamed for that you weren't involved in.
Wait a second. I thought we already talked about birth control.
Go, keep going. This show is going to be our best, or this show is going to knock us side the head. But it's okay, though, because first thing, 3 old guys talking
blame
about
the white guy in the middle.
There you go.
The white guy in the middle.
But go ahead, because it's important on how you feel and the whole thing, because you won't quit. To Kelly's point, you will not quit. You're running again. You're running unaffiliated.
Here's the thing. You could say, well, it's vindictive. I want to get back at him. No, that's not it. People, I'm running for the kids. The right reason I'm there is to figure out our school system needs a lot of work.
You believe in the mission, and I sincerely believe that.
I do. I really do. And you can go and look at my background with scouting, teaching kids duty to God, duty to country, service to others, and then worry about yourself. That is a great way to indoctrinate kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't tell them which God. You pick whoever you want.
You stand to gain nothing financially from this, so it's truly from your heart.
Yeah.
Well, no. I think it's a small little stipend in there. Bill, how much do they get paid?
I get $1,500 a month.
1,500 times 12. I went to school in South Carolina in the 60s, and they tried to fail me. No, they did fail me in the 3rd grade and the 4th grade, so I could do a little bit of math, but that ain't a lot of money, pimping. You make more than that. So you really given them your time and your expertise, because I think I understand you one of the few board members at the time who understood big budgets and training and all that kind of good stuff.
Sure. I could make that in a day and a half training. So I don't need it for a month. And, the thing is, I ended up spending more money than that just for lawyers to defend myself, and yard signs to run, ads and other things. So I'm going to spend way beyond that.
So you had to pay for your own lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, not the one for the school board. I don't, but I had to have another lawyer for some other stuff.
What explain the difference?
The school board, because it was being sued as a school board member, the school board would pay for that. When the state legislature changed the law for a second time, they basically said anybody that was been appointed by the school board of Guilford County since December 31st of 2022.
Wow.
Is null and void.
They were picking on you.
And you were the only one in the whole state that ruling applied to. So the state of North Carolina.
In the history of North Carolina.
So the state of North Carolina and the history of North Carolina went through all those changes just for you, Goebel. They're treating you the way they used to, and some would say still treat black folk, where the justice system, Richard Pryor says you go downtown looking for justice, and that's who you find. Just us, meaning just black folk downtown. About you looking for justice. So Goebel, you getting the black treatment here.
Yeah, I believe so.
By the way, I think any Richard Pryor argument brings nothing but smiles to my face. Puts it all in perspective.
Yeah, it does. Just us. I like that. Well,
I miss you guys could be like Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, those old movies from like the 80s. Those were the greatest movies.
Oh my gosh.
You felt like those guys were friends.
Yeah.
Like
it wasn't forced. I'm an ordained, the Reverend Baptist preacher, not Richard Pryor.
Oh, Richard Pryor's cool though. I'm sorry.
Okay. So just bring me back.
Yeah, I digress.
Thank you.
Here, I'll be Richard Pryor. You be the white guy.
You be Gene Wilder. You don't have enough hair to be Gene Wilder.
You don't have your eyes big enough.
But Bill, a lot of times, man,
their hair
hanging around a lot of white people like I do. I got some black folk who's threatening to take my black card away from me hanging around you now.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I told you I was trouble. And then I bring in troublemakers like Kelly. You have no idea what kind of trouble this guy.
Kelly came in.
I'm on good behavior.
He is. His mother said, you behave on that show or I'm going to get you.
Kelly, what's a black card? When they say they're going to take my black card from me, what does that mean, Kelly?
Well, they can't take away your coolness.
There you go.
Because you ooze coolness.
There you go. That's called pimping, man. That's pimping.
They can't take away that smile.
There you go. There you
shines
go.
Bright.
That's called swag, baby. That's swag.
And they can't take that shine off the top of your head either.
That's called bald. They overhanded baldness.
So I don't know if they take away your black card. That's I don't want to dive into tricky areas. I know this is the common ground show, but people get canceled for saying that.
We may be close right now. Hey Kelly, I got to tell you a story. I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was with my high school guys, and coming in walkers and oxygen. Some bald heads. There was one guy that had a full head of gray hair, and he was giving the Dickens to the guy sitting next to me that was bald as a cucumber, and the guy is bald as a cucumber, just eating his food. And then he stops midway and he goes, Pat, that was the guy's name that had the full header. He says, Pat, I just got one thing to say. My hair had the dignity to fall out before it died.
On that, we're going to close. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us, man. You bring so much energy, and we're going to continue to invite you back. We're going to continue to invite you back.
Well, as long as it doesn't kill your ratings.
Yeah. Nah, ratings is good. Goebel,
you want to come to my deposition? I need some black.
I'll
I need
tell you,
some black help.
the look in his face, he was borderline. He was going to give you his black card.
Yeah.
I mean, he feels you could probably use it.
Listen, black folk don't be voluntarily going into courtrooms, man.
You know why? Because you just us.
That's us. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Find Bill and Odell online at thecommonground.show. This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.
This podcast is brought to you by Yes Weekly, the Triad's largest circulated and best read weekly magazine. You can also find us online at yesweekly.com and on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yes Weekly, your trusted news leader for local arts, entertainment, music, food, and more for nearly 18 years.
Whether you're a big, medium, or small business, managing and growing the bottom line is important. Focus CFO brings the experience and financial acumen of a Fortune 100 Chief Financial Officer to your company at a fraction of the cost. P&L help, internal reporting processes, or any business transitions or events. Focus CFO will help you and your team have a CFO in your company's back pocket. Focus CFO. Learn more at focuscfo.com.